Well, it's funny, me and my boyfriend were literally talking about the fact that, like, streets could end up turning into charging stations for cars.
Yeah,
so there's no stop on technology, but I think by doing things like the Met is doing, like creating this historical museum, basically, about where everything comes from, you know, fashion is so, I think I'm using the right word, cyclical, like a cycle. You know, like the same thing comes in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And remember how, like, even record machines or record players were so popular a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And they weren't popular for so long.
No.
It's going to be one of those things where I feel like people are going to start looking into fashion as nostalgia. Like, there are so many people who are, you know, younger than me, you know, that I see on TikTok and all these things, who are so into, like, fashion that I grew up with, you know, like, early 2000s trashin that we all thought was, like, hideous and awful.
Because I feel like once it gets past a certain amount of, it always seems like it gets past a certain amount of years.
Yeah.
And then it kind of becomes nostalgic and it comes back again.
So it's going to be pretty...
And that again is reflecting that I feel like that again is another aspect of the fashion anthropology, because there's a reason people are looking back to these trends and thinking, oh, I want to, you know, it's to get some kind of, it's to satisfy some kind of feelings of nostalgia and romanticising the past.
Oh, romanticising anything.
Yeah.
You know, you think about, like, you talk to, like, almost anyone in America. If I tell them I went to Paris, they're like, oh my gosh. Oh, you know, France. And I lived in New York for a while, and people were like, oh my god, how could you leave Los Angeles? You're a local in Los Angeles and you would leave to go to New York. And then anyone in LA was like, why would you leave New York?
Yeah, exactly. It's always that. It's always that.
It's always that, like, you want what you weren't a part of.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
You don't want FOMO. And with us being stuck inside with COVID, people feel like they're losing their youth, or, you know, there are people who are going into their teens now.
And I suppose actually that way of dressing is very youthful.
Yeah, it is. It was very, like, early Disney Channel.
Yeah, it's a very way, you know, it's a way of dressing that you do think of young people, and it's an especially, I do find it especially American as well. You know, it's very, you think of young people and teenagers or...
like teen fashion.
Yeah, so I suppose that where people are feeling like they're missing out on their youth, that they're trying to grab onto it with this.
Absolutely, and we're just in such a space of looking back and accepting and realizing, you know, I mean, and this is where my brain kind of goes. You even think about this huge movement of people realizing how deeply affected people and other races or different types of culture were so negatively affected, and we didn't look at it, we didn't see it, we didn't accept it, and thankfully, thanks to all of these movements, it's like people's eyes are being opened to the past and what was actually going on. And I think that is becoming relevant in fashion too, because we're looking back. And anytime, even as a society, we look back, there's going to be something that catches our eye that we want to connect to.
Yeah.
But it's even in fashion, you know, there's a documentary called The Remix about hip-hop and fashion that came out on Netflix that talked about the huge influence that African-American creators had on street fashion in the 90s, and no one knows their name. So all this stuff is going to come back.
Yeah.